Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mtg Steam Brewery. As you can see, I'm bringing you a bit of a homebrew for a modern video this week, and we can get right into it with my 5-color Cruelest Glittering Wish control deck. The first card in the deck is Keranos. Me and my brother have really liked this card for a while. Almost pretty much since it was spoiled, we thought it'd be really good and started playing it in modern. And people were actually starting to catch on to it. So, he's just really good at 5 mana. The only decks he's really bad against are the combo decks. But against everything else, he's extremely powerful. And even against some of the combo decks, like Scape Shift and Splinter Twin, where sometimes they just don't have it. Or something would be a little more difficult to kill you, just because of the way this deck can sometimes play out. Then this card is going to be really good against even those decks at some points. So you just kind of have a powerhouse. And definitely worth having. We have one Thragtusk. Old standard staple, people really hated it. I never really hated it, but I did not like the environment that they had put it into with Umbrella Rights Restoration Angel and other things in that deck that just made it really just kind of oppressive, but still definitely a very powerful card. Even if they do kill it with Lightning Bolt or Exile with Path to Exile, you're still getting 3/3 and you gain 5 life. The important part is the gaining 5 life part. It's the main reason we're playing it. We're getting a 5/3 that will block twice and gain us 5 life. So just kind of really necessary for the aggressive matchups. And just kind of a solid beater against control decks. 3 Snapcaster Mage. This is mainly to buy back Cruel Ultimatum. There's plenty of utility spells in the deck we can flash back. Sometimes we just need to flash back Serum Visions. Sometimes Glittering Wish can get countered, and that will allow us to flash it back. Snapcaster Mage is also just kind of a mainstay in blue control-ish, tempo-ish combo deck. Some blue combo decks in modern. He's just kind of a mainstay, a really powerful card, so we definitely want 3 of him. We have 4 Coiling Oracle. This guy is just straight up value. He's a 2-mana blocker. He can still sometimes start attacking, getting in some early damage. He's mainly going to be in here to block and hopefully ramp you. If not, he's going to draw you a card for 2 mana. He's just really kind of a really solid card, and I really think people should play him. Of course, there's also not that many homes for him, but we are a 5-color deck, so if we do get to flip a land off of him, it's going to be very nice, and if not, we still got to draw a card out of a 2-mana creature. 2 Cruel Ultimatum, only main decking 2, because it is, once again, a 7-mana sorcery. And in this deck, we are allowed to main 2, because we can also tutor for it out of our sideboard, which is really nice. Plus, you never really want to have this in your opening hand. It's always really bad to have in your opening hand, unless you know for a fact that you're up against control deck. We also have 3 Lingering Souls, just kind of really solid card. It used to be really big back when Blood Red Elf was in modern, then it got banned. The card lost a little bit of favor. Still sees playing tokens decks and the Black-White Pack Rat deck. Still a super efficient card. Once again, good against everything but combo. And combo's not really that big in my meta, so that's why we're playing 3 Lingering Souls. It's just so cheap and efficient. We're playing 4 Farseek because we are a 5-color deck in modern. We're playing 3 basics total, and that's because we absolutely have to. Farseek will allow us to fix our mana pretty much perfectly. Going to grab any of the Shocklands in our deck. Also being at 2 mana, gets us ahead against control decks or catches us up against aggressive decks. Catching up on mana is going to be so important because it's really our only way to hope to cast Cruel Ultimatum before we're just dead. We also have one of the main cards of the deck is Glittering Wish. As you can see, it's proxied. They're in the mail, but we didn't really want to wait a week before we brought you guys this video, so we're doing it with the proxies. Choose a multicolor card you own from outside the game. In Constructed Magic, that means your sideboard or your Exile Zone, and you put it into your hand, and then you remove Glittering Wish from the game. Sorcery speed. It's 1 green, 1 white to cast. Extremely powerful. Tutors have always been good when they're cheap and efficient. This is very good, cheap and efficient, but it's also really hard to find a home for this deck. And being at sorcery speed has really hampered this card's playability in a lot of decks. But I've just really wanted to play with Cruel Ultimatum pretty much since I found out the card existed. And I always wanted to build a 5-color deck with it. But the mana would always be really hard. But when your sideboard and Exile Zone are kind of a toolbox, Glittering Wish gets really good. Especially if we get a Snapcaster back Cruel Ultimatum, we can Glittering Wish to get back that Cruel Ultimatum and cast it again. That probably won't come that often, but it's a neat little thing you can do.
Hey, did you know what I thought of? Just cut Snapcaster and play Rest in Peace.
No. That's
Why not?
No. Okay. Stop
Rest in Peace is a better Snapcaster.
To see beyond.
You get Caranos.
This is kind of a fringe modern card. Doesn't really see a ton of play. I'm playing it in this deck because it actually does see a little bit of play. See Beyond, I'm playing this because sometimes you really just don't roll them in your opening hand. So you're fine shuffling it back in. It also can keep your cards safe from a Thoughtseize, because though we can't put it back on top of our deck, we can keep it safely tucked in our deck away from a Thoughtseize, so we can still have the chance to draw it and cast that spell, which can be very important sometimes. So we definitely wanted 2 of these just because it's kind of nice to have that option. Maybe better just play as a Think Twice or some other card like that, but I'm fine with Beyonds. We also have 3 Serum Visions, just kind of some cheap filtering for our draws. Nice, cheap, and efficient. It also serves as a part of our mana base, as we're a 5-color deck. A thing that says draw a card and scry 2 is going to be very good at fixing our mana, especially when it comes down on turn 1. 2 Thoughtseize, kind of for the combo matchups. Good against control decks too. The turn before, or the turn we want to resolve our Cruel Ultimatum, or Glittering Wish, we'll cast this first, see if we can't clear the way, and then we'll go for it. Against combo decks, it's going to be very disruptive, and just kind of a good card against aggressive decks really early. It's just kind of nice to have access to them in our main deck. And then we just have a variation of removal. 1 Dismember, 1 Go for Throat, 1 Doomblade, and 3 Path to Exile. Just kind of varying our removal to hit a bunch of different things. They will, for the most part, hit anything we need to, all doing something a little slightly different at different points on the curve. So just a nice little 6-card slot of removal that we have access to. And we also have 1 Prophetic Prism. It's just a cheap 2-mana artifact that says draw a card, and it also allows us to filter through our mana, which can sometimes be relevant since we, once again, are playing a 5-color deck. So fixing our mana is going to be very good, and since it says draw a card, it just cycles itself, which made it very easy to play in the deck. And the most important part of our deck is our mana base. The Mana Confluence is just a better City of Brass as far as we're concerned. There's nothing that could really tap it down that could hurt us. And then Reflecting Pool, just kind of acting as a worse Mana Confluence, sometimes a better Mana Confluence. We don't always want to be paying life, but it's going to be very nice to have access. Mana Confluence into Reflecting Pool is going to be very good, because we'll 1 land that will make any color even though it hurts us, and then 1 land that will make any color because the other land makes any color. As well as at certain points, it's just going to be tapping for 3 or 4 colors, which is still going to be perfectly fine. We have 4 fetches. I'm not sure if this is the exact right mix of fetches. It probably isn't. We might want to add in something like Verdant Catacombs, as if we can get our hands on that. But for now, we're playing with what we have, which is these specific 4 fetches. Ghost Quarter over Tectonic Edge, because once again, we're a 5-color deck. For the most part, we're just going to be doing bigger and better things than what any other deck in the format can do. So giving them a mana is not going to be really that big of a problem if you're killing things like Celestial Colonnades, Raging Ravines, or Treetop Villages. It's just kind of nice to have that. We have our 3 basics because, once again, Ghost Quarter. We can sometimes Ghost Quarter our own lands if we need to fix our mana, or to cast Cruel Ultimatum on turn 7 if we don't have access to 7 colored mana without having to, having Ghost Quarter as the 7th land. We can always just Ghost Quarter, or if we have Temple Garden, we can Ghost Quarter the Temple Garden to go get the right color, which is pretty much the only land that won't tap for a color that casts Cruel Ultimatum. We have 1 mana land in the deck in Celestial Colonnade. It was probably correct to add a second one and cut it 1 Hallowed Fountain, but I'm not entirely sold on that yet, so for now we're just testing it with 1. It's been very good so far. Just kind of have a backup win condition that can attack for 4 Flying Vigilance. Celestial Colonnade certainly proved its worth in Modern and Control decks. And having access to Celestial Colonnade and Cruel Ultimatum in the same deck makes me super happy. So we definitely wanted one of those. And then we just kind of have a bunch of shock lands. Just kind of varied out with how the deck has performed for me so far and how I felt the mana requirements have been. The mana base might still need to be worked on, but for now this is the mix of lands that we have. And now I'll go to the sideboard, which is probably the most important part of the deck, and I'll see you there in a second. Hey guys, welcome back to the sideboard. We're going to get right into it. We have 1 Olivia Valdarin, just because things like Merfolk and Zoo, they can't really beat this card. Against Jund, it can be very efficient if they've, especially after game 1, they've probably taken out their Terminates and Slaughter Packs. Well, Slaughter Pack can terminate any other removal spell that could hit it. Being able to steal Tarmogoyf, Raging Ravine, Treetop Villages, being able to keep them is going to be very good. And against several decks, they might just not be able to answer a 3/3 flyer that gets bigger. So she can start just beating down on them. But she's just kind of a nice multicolored card. For our Glittering Wish, as most of the cards on our sideboard are, we're not really going to sideboard a ton with this deck, because we're just going to be able to Glittering Wish for them in games 2 and 3. And so 1 Geistling Draft for the same purpose of, it's just a good Glittering Wish target. Against some decks, just going turn 2 Wish into turn 3 Geist or Saint Traft is going to kill them because they can't answer your Geist. So it's just a nice option to have, as well as just a very powerful, efficient creature. One is Sadcaster, tokens, Melirapod, decks like that. Sadcaster is just kind of good against those decks. It can also just sometimes be a 0/3 that blocks, and can finish off creatures that have been blocked by Coiling Oracles or Snapcaster Mages, or can just kill creatures they play later in the game. This is a nice kind of card to tutor for. We have one Attention Sphere, kind of a catch-all removal spell. Strictly better than Oblivion Ring in our sideboard, as we get to tutor for it with Glittering Wish, which is very relevant. We have one Cruel Ultimatum, just kind of access to another Cruel Ultimatum. That card is normally going to win most of its games. Going Ultimatum into Wish into another Ultimatum is going to be very good. So we just wanted access to another one that we could tutor for without having to main deck 3. I also have one Violent Ultimatum, because sometimes you just need to kill a bunch of things. And other than a card like Supreme Verdict, which is also on our sideboard, there's not really a ton of ways to deal with a bunch of things. And this can kill Planeswalkers and Manlands, which can be very relevant to Glittering Wish into this for that purpose. So it's kind of a nice utility card, even though it is 7 mana. But we definitely wanted access to it. We have one Slaughter Games, kind of our combo killer, with 3 Glittering Wishes in the main deck. We get a tutor for this card against the combo decks, which is just very nice to have access to, as it's going to hose most of the combo decks. We'll get to this in a second. We're going to finish the rest of the sideboard with one Supreme Verdict. Sometimes you just need a Wrath, and this is why it's in here. We can't. It's not better than Wrath of God in my opinion, but we also can't tutor for Wrath of God. So this is just a nice option to have. One Counterflux control matchups. Sometimes you just need to be able to say no. Or in some matchups, you'll just be so close to closing the door, but they have an out. You can just wish for your Counterflux to make sure they can't win the game or get out of a losing situation, and just close the door on the game. Rakdos Charm, it's mainly in there because it's a multicolored graveyard hit card that we get to tutor up for, and against some other decks, its other modes might be relevant. Like against Affinity, it's just a wish target that can kill things, which is very nice because Cranial Platings kill animated manlands, or just things that are bothering you. This is kind of nice. We've run Abrupt Decay mainly to tutor for against the Splinter Twin decks. That matchup can be really rough if we don't draw any of our 6 removal spells. So just having 3 more ways to interact with them on turn, if we're on the play on our turn 2, being able to tutor for the Abrupt Decay is going to be very good. And then our last 3 sideboard cards are strictly for the control matchups. They're the only cards we ever really sideboard in. Is 2 Negates and a Dispel. Against a control deck, we're normally going to bring these in. Sideboard out probably one Glittering Wish because it can get countered by so many things. We'll bring in these and some other cards. It's kind of depending on what's bad against them, but for the most part, these will only be the ever cards you sideboard in because you can't tutor for them with a Glittering Wish. So it's just something to note. This is what I'd like, just the straight flex slot. I'm really solid in the choice of the rest of my cards in my sideboard slot. This is the one slot I'm never really sure about with this sideboard. Sometimes you need things for combo deck. Sometimes you need... For me, I chose Affinity. This is going to be Fracturing Dust, I believe is what it's called. 3 colors, hybrid, 2 hybrid green-white. Destroy all artifacts and enchantments. You gain 2 life for each artifact and enchantment destroyed this way. That is also in the mail. We didn't exactly have time to print off a proxy because we were so busy within the past couple days. But since it was the flex slot anyway, we decided to let you guys just kind of figure out what you wanted there, because the rest of the cards I think really should be in the sideboard, or maybe cards similar to them, just kind of depending on your meta. This is the one slot I really couldn't figure out, so that's why that's there. So there's our sideboard for our Cruel Wish deck, as I'm going to call it the Cruelest of Wishes. Is what I think I'm going to name the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please read the article. It's going to go up on mtgbrodeals.com. It should be coming up the same day this video goes up, so please be on the lookout for that. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at PureSoulsBlog, where you can sometimes we'll be able to put out spoilers for the deck that you guys get to see beforehand. You can interact with us there. You can email us if you don't. Yeah, you can email us if you don't want to interact with us on Twitter, or if you just don't like Twitter. PureSoulsBlog@yahoo.com. Don't be afraid to email us deck ideas, deck requests, just sometimes cards you think should be in the deck. And if you want us to replay an old deck that we once had, as a few people have been bringing up old decks, how they'd like to see me play it again, then don't be afraid to email or tweet that at us either, and we will happily do that for you. And most importantly, guys, have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.